Welcome to Coleman Report Live. I'm Bob Coleman. We're talking Main Street and the small business lenders who hope it to grow. Lance, you're in the house. Joseph's at the beach.
I wish I was with Joseph. No.
Yeah, Gulf of Mexico. He said, "Oh, no problem, Dad. I'll work. Yeah, well, took one look at the beach, and he and his wife, that's where they are. Hey, poll question number 1. Thank you all for joining us. A lot of news. We know it's getting to the end of the month, so we respect your time. Let's get into it. Should SBA remove the PPP necessity questionnaire for loans over $2 million? Lance, and I see that was our lead this morning.
Well, I think...
go ahead. What's going on? I know what the answer is going to be.
I don't think it's 100% official, but it's going to happen. There was some litigation related to forgiveness over $2 million. And,
I'm sorry, I'm interrupting.
They're talking about eliminating.
I'm sorry, Lance. So it looks like about half, 50-50. There's a sizable portion that says, nah, we shouldn't get rid of that. Why? What is their reasoning for that answer, Lance?
Well, I think that, most people understand the importance of getting it right in the larger PPP space. And the loans over $2 million, we want to make sure they're properly forgiven and the money spent in proper expense categories, and that was part of the purpose of the necessity questionnaire. And also just making sure that those borrowers should have gotten a PPP loan to begin with, Bob. Some of those larger borrowers.
On the spot. How do you feel about it?
I'm for anything that helps simplify and speed up forgiveness, Bob.
And when do you run for Congress? Very good.
I should run. All the callers that are on here, all the participant banks, are all growing a little wary of forgiveness, and we want to work our way through it and take care of small businesses. And I'm in the boat. If it helps make it go quicker, I'm a fan.
And our borrowers, they're adults, and they understand what is legitimate and what's not. They can't claim, well, I didn't know anything. These are pretty savvy entrepreneurs, so they know what the story is. Number 2, what percentage increase in demand for food delivery services has there been since COVID? Random stat, Lance?
Well, I think if everybody read the release from Coleman report today, they might have the answer for this.
Sort of open book, open test. 89%, which I was shocked by that number as well, Lance. It's doubled. And that shows there's an interesting article in the Wall Street Journal in terms of how our life is going to change with COVID or post-COVID, and this is one of them, definitely.
Well, Bob, and I think everybody on this, on the Coleman report today, just in my daily walk, I've ordered more delivery food in the last 18 months than I had in my 59 years prior. So. Yeah,
you've gone down the rabbit hole when you got the grandkids over and you do it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's when you. I'm not saying anything about anybody, but that's it. Number 3, what percentage increase in demand for home improvement services has there been since 2019?
I don't know the answer, Bob, but I will say that, with everybody working from home and being at home more, they're going to identify more home improvement projects. I know in the Sexton household, there have been quite a few home improvement projects.
And our people got it right, over 50%. The answer is 51%, which is a pretty large, significant increase in demand, which means that
your Home Depots,
your
Home Depots, your Lowe's, your hardware stores, they're all doing great.
Yeah. And so that's, I think that's important to understand when we talk about writing credit memos for 2021 to get some of these demand stats in there, and what a contractor may have had a hit in 2020 because they couldn't go to people's houses. They couldn't work. That demand is there. Interesting article by, I believe it's the New York Times. Oh, no, Department of Justice to them. Anyway, it doesn't make a difference. But they said they're going to be investigating COVID fraud for years, same as TARP. TARP ended, this is 2021, but TARP ended well over 11 years ago. And it's still, they're still working through cases. I don't see any new indictments on TARP, but they're definitely working through cases. So this is nothing new. It's the Full Employment Act for our federales. Okay, let's talk about this long questionnaire. Just to recap, Lance, tell me what the current status is today and speculate on what you think will happen.
Well, I think that, currently it's still required, but there was litigation from the Associated General Contractors, who represent a large number of people, businesses that got PPP loans over $2 million, and they're suggesting that it's overkill, too much documentation requirements, and it's, for the same reason you could say, Bob, people should be, smaller businesses and underserved businesses should get more access to PPP, which we heard that a lot. We've told the bigger businesses that got larger PPP loans, we're going to put you through a lot more hoops in the forgiveness process. Now, we don't have that many loans in this size category, but there are substantially more requirements. Now, the one thing I'll tell you, SBA, on some calls that I've been on, has committed to and is doing a great job of processing these forgiveness applications over $2 million. I know they all kind of sat still for a while, but SBA is committed to working all the way through these. Now, you take the questionnaire out of play, I think it would help even intensify the speed of getting these $2 million and up PPP loans forgiven.
Lance, I don't walk into the office anymore. You send me an email, I send you, and I have a $2.5 million PPP loan. What do I do, Lance? Do you recommend I do it now or wait 30 days?
Well, and this is just, the 2021 round of PPP probably had very few,
right,
2 million, or because the emphasis was on smaller businesses, independent contractors, Schedule C filers. So, Bob, the 2020 PPP loans, on the other hand, had quite a few 2 million and larger. The forgiveness process for those, most of those people probably have already submitted for forgiveness. So, long and short of it, Bob, yes, this would have an impact, but I'm thinking that most of those people have already completed the questionnaire and have already submitted for forgiveness. I do think it'll have a positive impact on those that have not, but I'm going to guess a majority of the 2 million and overs have already submitted.
The other industry that's doing well is automotive. Some stats, they're up 25% for RVs, 26% for motorcycles, 10% for used cars. Maintenance, obviously, what was just interesting, is up. But automotive, even though we're staying at home, automotive is still important. Michael, you can move that slide, two slides, or are you there? No, one more. There you go. Very good. So automotive is doing well. There was a blurb somewhere, and Paul, I just saw the headline that said some used cars are selling for higher than their original sticker price, which is interesting.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, the demand is there. Hey, we got a bunch of questions that have been held over, so let's get to them. Number one, Christian, do we know if the refinance guidelines will be released next week? There are rumors that it will not be until August.
We were actually talking about that, Christian, before the show started, and I'm just speculating. SBA 504 has had an incredible year without it. There is a likelihood we're going to get to a point where the SBA administrator is going to have to use the 10% rule to get us through the end of the fiscal year. If they release the SBA 504 refinance rules, we all know that that will be like throwing gasoline on a lit fire. There will be an incredible demand for refinance projects in the 504 loan program. I'm Bob, and I've done this many times. We both have done this. I'm going to speculate that we will see those rules after the end of the fiscal year.
Interesting. Well, but when does that money expire?
Well, I'm not sure, Bob, and I could be wrong because of that. But the worst thing is rolling out some new rules and not having enough money to take care of the applications that come.
SB has been hit with that whammy time and time again. So I think they're, as I phrase I'm using well, the adults in the room are sitting back and crunching numbers and saying, okay, what are we going to do here that can be the most benefit for Main Street as well as lenders? Because SBA clearly understands through their own experience, when they do a new program, lenders have to also build up their infrastructure to support that increased demand.
Yeah.
Rahman says a number of idle loan increases were approved, but suddenly the funding normally takes a day or two is delayed. Is it possible idle is out of funds?
I have not. So. I've not heard, Bob, that idle's out of money. But I'm going to be honest with you, Rahman. I don't keep up with idle the way I do PPP.
Yeah, disaster is a little bit different type of animal in terms of the budget. And historically, whatever they've needed to fund those disaster loans, they found the way to do that. Rahman follows up. Do you expect the budget to run out of 7A guarantee fee waivers and 3 months free payments before September 30th? 11, 12 payments.
I don't think so. My guess is no, but I'm also in the camp that after September 30th, that's all going to go away.
And I got one more question that just came in on my email. Oh, bear with me. Well, I'm doing that, Michael. Do we have any more questions, or are we clear?
We're clear.
Okay, this is a good question. Hang on. I apologize. I should have pulled this up earlier. And, of course, now it's not. Oh, here we go. From Charlie. Question is there a place for SBA post-delinquent or non-performing loans?
I am not aware of a place where you can, for a participant bank, you have the ability to look at your own portfolio. And of course, you can do that at your financial institution, but you can go in eTrend and see pull a report of the past due loans and delinquent loans. But I'm not aware of a public, and I don't think there ever will be because there's not been a public list of delinquent SBA loans.
Yeah, I can tell you, I've looked at the underlying data, Charlie, that SBA releases, and they do have the amount of the loan, the date the loan was paid. They also have the amount of the charge-off and the date it was charged off. They have those two things. But in terms of the current status, they have it's exempted. What that means is SBA feels they do not have the right to release whether the loan is current or delinquent. So it's in the data, but it's called a FOIA exemption column. So I am unaware of that as well. On that. Melissa,
well, if there was a list, if there was a list like that, Bob, it would cause us to pause and wonder why we have to run a CAVERS report in a lot of circumstances. But I don't see a list of the current SBA loans that are past due or delinquent being published.
Well, you can imagine everybody and their brother would come out of the woodwork.
Well, it's just like these public PPP lists, Bob. There are people that have nothing to do with the PPP loan making phone calls about borrowers who have received one. So you can imagine the nightmare that would occur if there was a public list of past due SBA loans.
Interesting question by Melissa. I don't know if you can answer it, Lance. We'll give it a shot here. Is there a special trick related to idle lien subordination submissions? Recently experienced delays. This requirement I assume she's talking about subordination to a new 7A loan, or
Hold on, she elaborated. Hold on 1 second.
say that again, Michael? She has a follow-up.
Okay.
This just in. To elaborate on the item. Boy, Melissa's fast. To elaborate on the EIDL question, SBA wants borrowers to make a pay down on the EIDL loan and asking them to provide a number amount to be considered before resubordination to the new loan. Interesting. But again, that's all SBA. The lender's not involved.
Well,
and she's saying, is there a way we can get around that, or what's your advice to speed up that process, Lance?
I've not had experience well, I take that back, Bob. I did have a loan that we underwrote that had an EIDL loan that we requested subordination in our submission to the General Processing Center in Citrus Heights. It was not a fast process. I am not sure, the one thing I can tell you is the processing centers are working they're not working technically overtime, Bob, but they've got more work than they can handle, and I'm not aware of a process to speed that up, but I know it's going to be something that comes into play in SBA lending as we walk and look at new opportunities, and we pull their balance sheet up and look on the liability side, and we see they have an EIDL loan, which means they're going to have a blanket lien out there. But I know SBA also is very good about approving those subordinations. I just don't have good advice on how to speed the process up.
Very good. A glance to the future, both Lance and I were releasing the updated closing training as well as underwriting training. It's going to start next week, but it's going to be what we call a meet and greet. We'll just get together with the students and we'll talk about it. So even though we're starting, I think we said the 8th, that'll just be a meeting, and we'll outline everything and what our expectations are. We'll answer all questions, and we do. But we're putting up the final touches. It's fun. We're going to have easy homework assignments. So I'll tell you what one of my homework assignments is. It's very simple. Drive up and down your local Main Street and guesstimate what 2 or 3 standalone properties are worth. I think that's something that an underwriter should know when they're going someplace. So that's on what these values are. It helps you in a global perspective. Anyway, so Lance, we're excited about that.
Yes.
Very good. Well, thank you very much. And thank you all for joining us today for Coleman Report Live and for supporting America's Main Street, one entrepreneur at a time.
Have a good afternoon.